The notion that the science on climate change is a lie to manipulate Christians is a misconception that has been circulating among certain groups. This idea suggests that the scientific community, in tandem with governments and other organizations, is deliberately distorting data and research findings to deceive Christians into supporting policies and initiatives that align with the purportedly liberal or secular agenda. However, this claim is not only unfounded but also misrepresents the fundamental principles of scientific inquiry and the overwhelming evidence that supports the reality of climate change. Firstly, the scientific method, which underpins all research, including that on climate change, is based on empirical evidence, experimentation, and peer review. Scientists from diverse backgrounds, including Christians, participate in climate change research, and their findings are subject to rigorous scrutiny by the global scientific community. The consensus among climate scientists, as reflected in reports by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IPCC and other reputable bodies, is that climate change is real, primarily driven by human activities such as the burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial processes. This consensus is not a product of manipulation, but a reflection of the evidence from multiple lines of research. Moreover, the argument that climate change science is a manipulation aimed at Christians overlooks the global nature of both the scientific community and the impact of climate change. Climate change affects all nations, cultures, and belief systems, not just Christians. Its impacts, such as rising sea levels, more frequent and severe weather events, and changes in precipitation patterns, are documented across the globe, affecting both Christian and non-Christian populations alike. The response to climate change, therefore, is not about targeting a specific religious group, but about addressing a global challenge that requires cooperation and action from all sectors of society. It's also worth considering that many Christian denominations and organizations are actively involved in climate change mitigation and adaptation efforts, recognizing the moral and ethical imperatives to care for creation and protect the vulnerable. For example, Pope Francis's encyclical Laudato Si emphasizes the need for Christians to address climate change as part of their stewardship of the earth. This engagement is not about being manipulated by a supposed liberal agenda, but about living out Christian values of justice, compassion, and responsibility towards God's creation. Furthermore, the accusation that climate change science is a lie often stems from a misunderstanding of the nature of scientific inquiry. Science is not about promoting ideologies or manipulating public opinion, but about uncovering the truth about the natural world through systematic observation, measurement, and experimentation. While science can inform policy decisions, the political and societal responses to climate change are separate from the scientific facts themselves. The debate over how to address climate change is legitimate and necessary, involving considerations of economics, politics, and societal values. However, this debate should not be confused with the scientific question of whether climate change is occurring and what its causes are. In conclusion, the claim that the science on climate change is a lie to manipulate Christians is unfounded and misleading. It misrepresents the scientific consensus, overlooks the global impact of climate change, and misunderstands the role of science in informing public policy. Christians, like people of all faiths and backgrounds, have a critical role to play in addressing climate change, not because they are being manipulated by a supposed lie, but because they are called to care for the earth and ensure justice and sustainability for all. By engaging in honest and informed dialogue about climate change, we can work together towards solutions that reflect our shared values of stewardship, compassion, and responsibility.